Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is the 5th episode of the story in which a terrifying situation pushes Naruto to unleash something the ninja world has never seen before. Naruto now holds a position of enormous power. What is a troublemaker to do when he has the ability to appear wherever he wants? Please hit the subscribe and like buttons. Let's get this party started. Sakura-kun, this is my third bath this day, Lee said as Sakura scrubbed his back. He was completely oblivious to the fact that she was raking her hands over his perfectly sculpted body. Sakura smiled to herself as she wetted the sponge in the bucket next to the bed, then proceeded to wipe down his back again. The medic nins told me to look after you because they have a lot to deal with, Sakura answered as she watched his back muscles ripple under his skin. Her face was completely red as she let her mind wander. Now shut up and just enjoy this. Yes, Sakura-kun, Lee said as he let her have her way. I have to get back to my training. You can't train in this state, Sakura said quickly. Your arm and leg needs to be healed first. What happens if I can't be healed? Lee asked quietly. Sakura stopped her hand motion and sighed. She wrapped her arms around his chest from behind and pulled him into a tight hug. Whatever happens, Sakura said into his neck. She placed a light kiss on his neck, causing him to gasp. Lee turned towards her with a blushing face. I will be here every step of the way. And if what I hear is true, you should be fine. What did you hear? Lee asked as he inched his blushing face towards Sakura, who was smiling up at him. That Naruto is leaving on a special trip to retrieve her new Hokage, Sakura answered as she moved her face closer. How does that help me? Lee asked, stopping his motion and raising his eyebrows. Sakura chuckled to herself as she closed the distance and gave Lee a kiss. He is looking for Tsunade of the Sannin, Sakura said as Lee's eyes looked confused. Sakura sighed and kissed his cute face again. The best medic nin in the world. So what do we do till she gets here? Lee asked as Sakura leaned him back on his bed and slowly climbed into it as well. I will be showing you a new training exercise, Sakura whispered into his ear, causing Lee to blush 5 shades of red. Sakura laughed lightly as she placed a slow kiss on him, causing him to smile under her. How is this relevant again? Naruto complained as he tried to pop a rubber ball that was currently in his hand. He was currently walking with Jiraiya as they left the last town. That was a total mess. And Naruto knew now more than ever that he needed to get stronger. Flashback, who is it? Naruto asked as he got up from the bed. He was currently waiting for Jiraiya to return from his date with some young girl that approached him when they entered the town. After sharing a high five, they parted ways and Naruto headed towards the inn they would be sharing. He was currently practicing the popping of balloons and was disturbed from his training by a knock at the door. Naruto walked to the door and pulled it open. There, standing in the doorway, was a giant of a man with something large on his back. He had dark blue skin and razor-sharp teeth. Naruto looked to the second man, who looked like a less emo Sasuke. The less emo Sasuke stepped forward a bit and Naruto looked up into his eyes before diverting his gaze. Kakashi and Guy taught him a bit on how to counter the legendary eyes of the Uchiha. My brothers always said not to answer the door to strangers, Naruto said as he slammed the door and created 6 frag clones. Naruto jumped to the window and turned as the door was blown off its hinges. Keep up, bitches. Wah! The blue man started, but the explosion that followed rocketed him through several walls and into the next building over. The other man was blasted to opposite way and into the street, coming to a halt at the feet of the legend, the amazing super pervert himself, Jiraiya of the Sannin. Naruto appeared behind Jiraiya and crossed his arms over his chest. You shouldn't be here, Jiraiya said softly, causing Naruto to raise his eyebrows. Where's your partner? Blasted to the other building, Itachi replied softly as well. He slowly got up and brushed himself off, staring at the young blonde seemingly untouched by the blast. Naruto was in awe at that nothing hit him. Nice work, Naruto-kun. Now if you excuse me, I have to retrieve my teammate. Jiraiya-sama, same meeting place? Of course, Jiraiya said with a slight smirk as he made a slow attempt at fighting him. Itachi blocked it and in the process seemed to hand Jiraiya a small scroll. Now get out before you raise suspicion. Till next time then, Itachi said as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Who was that? Naruto yelled as he looked over at Jiraiya, who placed the scroll in his side pouch. Before he could answer, a loud scream was heard behind them. Turning, they saw the emo himself. Where is he? Yelled Sasuke as he ran towards them. Naruto just sighed as he looked at Jiraiya with a confused look. I must avenge my clan. I must kill him. Shut up, you dolt, Jiraiya said as he clubbed him over the head, knocking him out. Then moments later, Guy appeared, picking up the emo and taking him back to Konoha. He told Naruto of Kakashi and the situation at home before leaving. And this lady can cure him? Naruto asked as they left the town. Jiraiya nodded as he tossed him a rubber ball. She will, Jiraiya said with a smirk as Naruto struggled to pop the ball. "Now continue training." Yeah, Naruto said, ignoring him and concentrating on the ball. Flashback end, "It will make your attack stronger," Jiraiya said as they walked into a local bar. Inside, Jiraiya quickly spotted his prey. Tsunade was sitting with her assistant in one of the many booths pounding back another shot. "Here we go. Naruto, act like yourself and there is no way she won't come back with us." "What do you mean act like myself?" Naruto asked with a confused look but followed the older man. His answer was a small chuckle and a ruffle of the hair. "You've got to be kidding me!" screamed Ino as she walked into Shikamaru and Choji's hospital room. Shikamaru was currently playing Tamari and Shogi as Choji was talking to a group of visiting kunoichi that were surrounding his bed. They each eyed him hungrily as Choji made them laugh with one of his jokes. They all looked up to see Ino standing there with her arms folded. "Hello Inakin," Choji said with a wide smile. The other girls just huffed before turning their attention back to Choji. "Everyone out," Ino yelled as she pointed towards the door. "It's time for our team meeting." We don't." Shikamaru started but Ino's glare shut him up. "What are you talking about Inakin?" Choji asked with a raised eyebrow. Ino glared down at Choji, causing him to gulp. "Ladies, I will talk to you again sometime. It seems we have a meeting." "No problem Choji-kun," said one busty mist nin. She leaned down and placed a simple kiss on his cheek, causing Ino to huff. "I will be back later to listen to your stories again." After the kunoichi left, Ino slammed the door shut and paced the room. Her eyes landed on Shikamaru and Tamari, who were watching with calculating eyes. In a motion that seemed almost practiced, the two stood and walked out at the same time. Choji's eyes narrowed on Ino as she turned towards her rotund friend and sighed. She was going to kill that Miss Nid for leaving her lipstick mark on his smiling face. Choji didn't realize it and thought the killer intent leaking out from Ino was directed towards him, gulped again before coughing. "Are you alright Inakin?" Choji asked as he leaned up in his bed a bit. "I hope I didn't do anything wrong." "No, you're fine Choji-kun," Ino spat out quickly, causing Choji to wince. Ino sighed and in 3 strides was in Choji's bed with him, shocking the bigger boy. Ino snuggled into his side and rested her head on his chest with a content sigh. "I'm going to say this once, and you will listen, okay?" "Ok," Choji stuttered out. Ino smiled at his shyness and traced her hand over his chest. He wasn't all fat underneath. His muscles seemed to bulge out more than the fat, but he still needed his reserves for his hard-hitting jutsus. Him being the strongest when it came to brute strength and all. Feeling protected and safe in his arms was a feeling that Ino would never trade, and this moment was great. "If you're kissed again," Ino started out as she stopped her hand from trailing over his stomach and chest. She looked him straight in the eye before continuing. "By another woman." "Ugh." Choji coughed out as Ino's hand snapped towards his family jewels. She grabbed them tightly, marveling at the size for a moment before continuing. "I will rip these off," Ino said softly, causing him to nod his head up and down quickly. "You're mine, Choji-kun. And don't you forget it." "I know that now," Choji squeaked out, wincing in pain. Ino nodded before letting go and placing her hand back on his chest. "That is why you get to keep them now," Ino said with a satisfied smile. Gods, the rumors were right about the Akimichi men. Looking up and giving her evil glare that Anko taught her. "Got that?" "Yes Inaheim," Choji said with a sly smirk and pulled her closer and kissed her gently, causing her to smile. Ino's eyes widened as he moved his kiss lower to her neck, causing her to gasp quickly before letting out a slight moan. "See Haku-chan," Anko said with glee as they watched the entire scene from the tree outside the window. "I'm amazing with advice." "She's in complete control," Haku said as she made a couple of notes in a small pen pad. Anko smirked and crossed her arms over her chest. "The direct approach is the best approach," Anko said in a mature voice. "Grab your man's balls and he will walk up, down, left, or whichever way you please. That's the secret, ladies." "Wait a second. What's wrong Anko-san?" Haku asked as she looked up from her notepad. Anko's eyes narrowed and she flew out of the tree like a woman possessed. Haku's eyes followed as she landed on a poor man that seemed to be crossing underneath the tree. He was an elderly doctor that was about 80. "The test tell me," yelled Anko as the old man struggled to raise a folder to the crazy ninja. Haku landed next to her as Anko opened the folder. Anko's eyes went wide and her hands fell to her stomach. "Anko-san, are you alright?" Haku asked as she placed a hand on her shoulder. Anko, still stunned from what she read on the folder, wasn't moving. The old man under her was gasping for air, so Haku took it upon herself to move her to a park bench. They sat there for what seemed like hours waiting for the shocked Anko to come out of her stupor. "Hello ladies," said a voice from behind them. All at once Anko flew from her set and tackled a man to the ground. Iruka grumbled a bit under her but noticed that she had tears in her eyes. Ankelheim, what's wrong? She started but the rest was a mumbled mess as she whispered into his neck. Iruka sighed as he picked her up in his arms and held her bridal style. Haku-chan, Iruka said looking up at the young girl. I will take care of her from here, we will see you tomorrow. Is she okay? Haku asked as she looked at her sensei. I'm pregnant, Anko said as she looked up at Iruka who was now swaying back and forth before Haku caught him. Anko smirked down at the man and gave him a quick kiss causing the young chunin to come back to life bit. You're going to be a father. Iruka started with a shocked face then he produced a grin. Anko smirked at him as he pulled her into a hug. He kissed the top of her head whispering I love you, once more. I'm going to be a father. Kin walked the streets of Konoha with her Anbu escort. She was able to go out under the watch, and she was itching to stretch her legs. After giving up everything she knew about the bastard that tried to kill her, she was given the chance to become a leaf nin. She was contemplating it for the moment. Till she was given a sensei and the leaf head band, she would be hounded by this annoying purple-haired Anbu. But she was given a field to keep up in her training. As she approached she heard the sound of drills ripping apart something. She looked towards the middle of the training field and saw the dog boy destroying the training post. She stopped and watched for a moment as he stopped his attack and stretched his half-naked body. She watched his muscles ripple under his sweaty skin and felt a blush rush to her face. Kiba sighed as picked up his shirt and wiped the sweat from his brow. His nose picked up a scent coming from behind him and he turned to see the ex-sound nin staring at him. Her long black hair and was pulled into the low ponytail that seemed to sway a bit in the wind. Kiba smirked as he watched her hide her blush that was growing on her face. Enjoying the view? Kiba asked as he turned towards her with a cocky smirk. She huffed and turned to leave causing Kiba to sigh. I'm kidding, care to join me in a quick spar? I can't fight you, she said as she started to walk towards Kiba in the middle of the training field. I'm still a prisoner of war. I thought you were granted asylum and was offered to become a ninja of the leaf, Kiba asked as he tossed his shirt aside. He smirked as he watched her eyes rake his body. Using big words can hurt your head dog boy, Kin said with a smirk. And I haven't accepted yet. I don't know what I want to do yet. Well, Kiba said with a smirk. I would think that a strong kunoichi like you would leap at a chance to prove your worth. I mean, I know that you guys are not as strong as us. What did you just say? Kin said as her eyes narrowed and stared at the now smirking Kiba. I'm just saying, Kiba said as he slowly turned away from the fuming Kin. Kiba smirked as he tossed his trademark grin over his shoulder causing her to shake in anger. Prove me wrong, if you can. And Bizen, Kin said lowly as she tied her hair back a bit. Her eyes never leaving Kiba's back. I accept Iwika-sama's offer. Please inform him I will be practicing here for the remainder of the day. Take him out. Growled the women Anbu who looked down at Kin. Kin smirked as the Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves. Kiba gasped for air as he sprawled out in the middle of the training field. Cuts littered his body and rather large gash was slowly bleeding on his right arm. With a content sigh he looked over to see Kin laying just to his right. She was faring no better as she stared at him with an unreadable expression. She slowly leaned forward and grabbed a piece of her torn shirt. She slowly ripped it revealing her toned abs and lightly tanned skin. She smirked as the dog boy as his face dusted a blush and she crawled over to him slowly, causing his face to heat up a bit more. You fight well for a girl, he said causing her to smirk at him as she picked up his arm. She tied her shirt around his wound and pulled it extra tight. Kiba winced under the pressure as Kin let out a light giggle. Thanks. Now next time you watch your mouth, Kin said with a cocky grin. Kiba looked at her with a light smirk as she continued to doctor some of his wounds. Kin didn't know why, but she almost felt compelled to do it. Plus it was an excuse to touch his rock-hard body. What did I say? Kiba asked innocently causing Kin to poke his wounded shoulder quickly. Kiba let out a howl of pain. Kiba not going to be treated like that reacted quickly grabbing her around the waist and quickly pulling her to the ground and rolling her on top, pinning her to the ground. He smirked down at the blushing girl who struggled to free her hands. Let me go dog boy, she yelled causing Kiba to smirk as he raised one hand to her side. Are you ticklish? Kiba asked as he poked her side with his hand causing her to squirm. No, she said quickly. You wouldn't. Oh I would, Kiba said with a smirk as he was about to tickle her. Oh and by the way, I pulled my punches out there, but for a girl you're pretty strong I guess. Just hope you never let me go, she whispered with a dead tone still squirming under him, much to the pleasure of both of them. Kiba smirked down at her as he inched his head closer. For some reason Kin inched closer as well. Kiba stopped much to the displeasure of Kin causing him I don't plan on it, Kiba said as he commenced his tickle attack, causing Kin to scream out and giggle under him as she tried in vain to free herself. "So you're pregnant?" Kurenai asked as they sat at Anko's dango shop. Anko nodded as she popped another dango in her mouth. Kurenai's gaze turned to Asuma, who was slowly moving away from the table. "Just where do you think you're going?" "See, I got this." Asuma started as Kurenai pointed to the seat next to her, similar to commanding a dog to sit. Kakashi and Guy both made a whipping sound as they tried to hide their smiles. Asuma grumbled something about a bro code before sitting next to his girlfriend. "And Tsunade is apparently coming back, so my baby boy will have the best medic nin around to deliver him," Anko said with a smile as the door to the shop opened and in walked Iruka. "There's my prey." "Hello everyone," Iruka said as he kissed Anko before taking a seat next to her. The Chunin immediately blushed as Anko's hand shot to his thigh. "How do you know it's a boy?" Kurenai asked with a raised eyebrow. "It's far too early to determine its sex." "Call it a hunch," Anko said as Iruka coughed out and tried to move her hand away from his balls. Anko just smirked at causing her boyfriend to blush in front of her friends. Kurenai just huffed and turned her attention to Asuma, who looked away hoping to change the conversation. "Did you say Tsunade is coming back?" Asuma asked. "Well, you know what that means. Kakashi and Guy will be fighting over Shizune again." "We don't fight over a girl like she's an object or something," Guy said as a rare blush raced across his face. "Shizune, his one crush that he was never man enough to let her know. And I don't know what you're talking about." "Yeah, because Shizune still owes me a date," Kakashi said as he flipped a page in his book, causing Guy to twitch. "So there wouldn't be any competition." "What?" Guy yelled as a glass broke in his hand. Guy's eyes narrowed as he stood and bowed to his friends. "Seems I need to go and blow off some steam. I apologize for the glass and my outburst. If you need me, I will be at my training field." "Why do you do that to him, Kakashi?" Iruka asked with a slight smirk after Guy left. Kakashi put his book away and gave a quick eye smile. "I have my reasons," Kakashi said as waved a hand nonchalantly. "Please. You just like to aggravate him whenever you can," Anko said with a smirk. "We all know how much ramen you've been eating lately. Seems a bit suspicious if you ask me." "I wouldn't read into it," Kakashi said as everyone laughed at the red-tipped ears showing a bit of a blush. Nothing escaping them, they all shared a grin, causing Kakashi to change the subject. "Besides, Naruto should be returning to the village later today." "Good to hear," Kurenai said. "We need a Hokage and I believe that Tsunade-sama will fill the shoes well." "Quit bitching," Tsunade yelled at Naruto as he fumbled with the pack on his back. "If you didn't want me to come, then you shouldn't have made that bet." "I'm regretting this already," Naruto grumbled as he looked like a pack mule. He had an overly cumbersome bag on his back that seemed to have been filled to the brim and weighed almost 6 times he did. Struggling with every step, he stared at the blonde in front of him. "Stupid bet." Flashback. "So if I can land a solid hit," Naruto started as they stood in the alleyway facing each other. "I will willingly come to Konoha and become Hokage," Tsunade said with a smile as she stared down at the young blonde. Her heart swelled with pride, hoping that all the Konoha ninjas were like this one. If so, then her home wouldn't be so bad to return to. His actions reminded her so much of her younger brother that it was almost shocking. "I tell you what, if you do land a solid hit, I will also give you this. This necklace is worth 6 mountains and the gold in them," Tsunade said with a smirk as Naruto scoffed. "Money can't buy what I have," Naruto said with smirk and lowered himself into his fighting stance. "I fight for my village and the precious people in it." "Where did you find this one, Jiraiya?" Tsunade asked with proud smirk as she put the necklace back. "He's amazing, isn't he?" Jiraiya said with pride as he stared at his apprentice, flashes of his father reflecting behind him as if shadowing him. Tsunade nodded with a smile as she raised her finger. "Let's have it, kid," Tsunade said as she smirked at him. Naruto ran forward and Tsunade sighed, "All that talk and he tries a head-on attack." Tsunade flicked her finger only for it to push smoke aside as the wisp clone slowly faded. She felt a hand smack her on the ass hard and a slow blush crept over her face. "Hey," Naruto laughed as he gave it a quick squeeze. "Nice Bakken, you must work out." "Seems you liked that a little bit, Jiraiya. She's a keeper, don't you think?" "You little pervert," Tsunade yelled as she swung a fist through Naruto, causing him to explode in a puff of smoke. Her fist hit the ground, leaving a 4-foot crater. Panting heavily, she turned slowly towards Jiraiya, who was rolling on the floor in tears. Laughter could even be heard from the other side where Shizune was failing to hold down a chuckle. "You punch pretty hard there, Bakken," Naruto said from his original starting area. He smirked at her as she narrowed her eyes at him. "You little..." Tsunade swore as she charged towards him with anger in her eyes. Naruto's eyes changed and he disappeared behind her again and tried to deliver a punch, but Tsunade wasn't a Sannin for nothing. She spun quickly, grabbing his hand and tossing him through the wall of the inn. Smiling to herself as she dusted her hands off, she turned to Jiraiya, who was still chuckling as he looked at the hole she created. "Went a bit overboard?" Jiraiya asked as he wiped another tear from his eye. "I say, he landed a solid hit. You going to hold true to your end? That little perv didn't." Tsunade started raising a fist towards Jiraiya, who cringed a bit, but a coughing sound from Shizune caused her to stop. "You didn't specify the type of hit, Tsunade-sama," Shizune said as she watched Tsunade twitch. "Fine," Tsunade said as she smirked at Jiraiya. "But first we need revenge our sensei." Flashback end, "You little brat," Tsunade said as she watched him struggle to keep his footing. Tsunade walked over to Jiraiya, who was writing in his book, and whispered in his ear. "We are close enough. Jiraiya-kun, I think I punished him enough. Seal our stuff please." "Whatever you wish, Tsuhime." The blushing Hokage walked away as she watched Jiraiya walk over to Naruto and put a hand on the pack, causing Naruto to scream out in pain. Jiraiya then pulled out a scroll and went into explaining the young man how to seal. She watched the determined look in his eyes, the same as when he fought back Kabuto and Orochimaru that day. "Guess what? Flashback, so you've accepted my offer?" Orochimaru asked as he watched Tsunade walk out into the clearing. She nodded gravely as she looked at Orochimaru and his partner standing there. "Let's get this over with," Tsunade snapped. "Let me see your arms." "Very well," Orochimaru said as he walked forward. In a snap, Kabuto shot forward and kicked Tsunade away. "I recognize that technique," Kabuto said as he adjusted his glasses. "I'm afraid that she was aiming to finish what your sensei started." "Such a low trick, Tsuanheim," Orochimaru said as he licked his lips. "Too bad. She's not alone, you pedo snake," said Jiraiya from behind Orochimaru, whose eyes widened a bit. "So all three of Sannin on one field," Orochimaru said with a smirk. "If I knew that we could have had this reunion, I would have killed Sensei years ago." "You will pay for what you did to Gigi," Naruto shouted as he appeared beside them and kicked Kabuto away. Kabuto flew 30 meters away before skidding to a 3-point stance. Naruto appeared before him and crossed his arms. "And you piece of shit will deal with me." "Naruto-kun," Kabuto said as he took off his now shattered glasses and looked at them. "Seems that you were just full of surprises. When I heard that you actually hurt the master, I couldn't believe it. I will end this quick." "Poison cloud." Shizune appeared seemingly out of nowhere and breathed out a cloud of poison that Kabuto quickly dodged as he jumped back, holding his mouth and nose. He jumped to the side, dodging a fist from Naruto, but the clone detonated, causing a flash of light and sound. "We will take him together," Shizune said as she walked towards Kabuto as he tried to heal his blinded eyes. His hearing was gone in his right ear for real this time, and he seemed to be struggling with his balance. "I was just about to suggest that," Naruto said as he vamped behind Kabuto and planted 3 frag clones before detonating them. Kabuto was blown forward towards Shizune that launched a series of poison senbon into the medic nin. Naruto watched as Kabuto exploded in a puff of smoke. "Damn clone." Naruto watched in horror as Shizune was taken out easily from behind. He severed her nerves, rendering her useless. She was alive but paralyzed as she stared at Naruto. "Seems that it's just you and me, Naruto-kun," Kabuto said as his hands glowed. He charged forward, landing a couple of hits on the shocked Naruto. Naruto felt his insides split open and he fell back, coughing up blood. "What did you do?" Naruto asked as he coughed up some more blood. Kabuto smirked as he looked down at him. "I cut your lungs, causing them to slowly fill with blood," Kabuto said with a smirk. "A painful and slow way to die." "Gee, thanks," Naruto said as he saw Tsuan running towards them. She swung her fist towards Kabuto, causing him to dodge and jump out of her reach. "Careful there, Tsuan-sama," Kabuto said with a smirk. "You could have taken off my head with that punch." "You call yourself a medic," Tsunade said as she assumed her stance. Naruto appeared in front of her and put his hand up. "I will hold him off," Naruto said as blood slowly trickled down his chin. Tsunade paused for a moment before her fear was slowly replaced by concern and fear of losing Naruto. "Don't worry about me right now, get Shizune somewhere safe. I might have to make a scene here." "You are giving orders to a Hokage?" Tsunade asked as she looked at him crossly. "I don't know what he did to her," Naruto said as he looked down at the passed-out Shizune. "You're the only person who can save her now. Now let me protect you till you're done. If you are as good as you brag to be, it shouldn't take you long." "You little brat," Tsunade said as a slow tear fell. She watched as he turned towards Kabuto, who was tapping his foot with his arms crossed. "Kick his ass, that's an order by the Hokage." "Hibaken," Naruto said as he disappeared and commenced his attack. Naruto appeared all around Kabuto, launching punch after punch. Kabuto for his part was dodging pretty well till one caught him in the side. The sudden pause and burst of pain gave Naruto the advantage. Naruto landed another slew of hits, each more devastating than the last. Naruto jumped back and fell to a knee as Kabuto fell to a broken heap in front of him. They stared at each other trying to see who would fall first. Naruto felt a lurch and more blood was pushed from his lungs and out of his mouth. Kabuto, taking the advantage, charged the struggling blonde with a kuni in hand. Naruto caught the kuni through his hand and gave a bloody smirk. "I can't believe you fell for it as well," Naruto said as his eyes looked up at Kabuto. Kabuto stared at the gold ring around the swirling mercury pool. Kabuto tried to push the kuni into the Naruto's left eye as he struggled to push the older nin away. "You need to remember something about me." "What's that?" Kabuto struggled out as he continued to push towards Naruto's eye. "That I'm the bomb, of course," said a voice from behind Kabuto, causing his eyes to widen. Kabuto was blown back by the clone and into the waiting arms of 6 other Naruto clones. Kabuto, too stunned from the first attack, tried to react, wasn't fast enough as a barrage of explosions launched him towards a lone Naruto who was holding up his right hand. "Feel honored that you were my first enemy to feel this jutsu from me," Naruto said as suddenly a blue orb of chakra formed in his hands. Naruto's eyes widened in excitement as he turned his gaze at the bloody and broke figure that was flying towards him against his will. Kabuto wasn't able to do anything as he watched his impending doom looming in the hands of what his information called the Dead Last. Naruto jumped into the air to meet him halfway, reaching back with his hand and striking it forward with a fierce look on his face. Kabuto couldn't hear over the grinding noise that was filling his ears as he tried to mold chakra towards his chest where the orb smashed into. Naruto's face was a look that Kabuto would be haunted from as he watched the blonde slowly turn their bodies so Kabuto was being drilled towards the earth. They fell from their 3-story fall and struck the ground where Naruto continued to pour more chakra into the attack. Kabuto was pushed 6 feet into the ground when Naruto finally backed off and stumbled around the crater they made. Kabuto couldn't move, never in his life had he felt so helpless. "Best jutsu ever," Naruto said to himself as he struggled to crawl out of the crater. Kabuto tried to move but couldn't. How could this kid have beaten him? It was beyond frustrating. "It seems that Naruto-kun is going to cause me more headaches alive than dead," Orochimaru said as he dodged another attack from Jiraiya. Orochimaru took off towards Naruto with his sword drawn with his tongue. Jiraiya followed him, but was slower than Orochimaru. Orochimaru was about to deliver the fatal strike to Naruto as a fist smashed into his side. He skidded to a halt next to his comrade and slowly picked himself up. Kabuto's healing factor was slowly working, giving him the ability to actually move his hands. "Get us out of here," Orochimaru said as he watched Tsunade charge forward, hoping to finish her attack. They disappeared into the ground with a slight chuckle. "Bastards," Tsunade said as she slammed a hand into the ground, causing a crater. Tsuheim?" Jiraiya asked as he held up a hurt Naruto. "Could you work your magic on the kid real quick? He doesn't seem to be breathing." "Shit," Tsunade yelled as she and the now-healed Shizune started work on Naruto. Flashback end. "Wait a second," Naruto said as he stared at the small scroll in his hand as he rubbed his sore back. "I could have been using this the entire time. Why the hell did you have me carrying that heavy-ass bag the old way?" Tsunade-sama thought it was funny, Jiraiya said as Naruto narrowed his eyes at the blonde who was laughing at him. "I hate you all," Naruto yelled as he pocketed the scroll and took point, mumbling about getting his revenge. "Naruto should have been here by now," Hinata muttered to herself as waited by the gates with her eyes activated. "He must have been delayed," Shino said as he sharpened his sword. Hokage was on his right reading over her findings that Onko had shown her. She would every now and then blush as she read them with a smirk. Team 10 showed up as well to welcome their friend home. Shikamaru was laying on the top of the wall watching the clouds as Ino was arguing over something stupid with Sakura. Lee was sitting off to the side talking to Choji, Kiba, and Kin, who would blush as she looked between the 3 men as compared scars from the invasion by showing different parts of their body. Hinata huffed as she turned towards Shino and gave him a knowing nod. "I know it's just not the same without him around," Hinata said as Sakura gave a quick giggle as she and Ino sat down on her left. "Tell us about it," Sakura said as she gave her a quick smirk. "It's been too quiet around here. He still knows better than to just up and disappear on a mission without giving me a goodbye," Hinata said with an evil glare. "He better have an excuse. To retrieve the next Hokage sound pretty legit to me, Hinahim," Naruto said from behind her. Hinata jumped to her feet and tackled the boy to the ground. "You idiot," Hinata said with a smirk as he laughed out. "I see you missed me," Naruto said with a smirk. He gave her a quick kiss and then looked at the gathering of people. "I see everyone must have missed me. Showing excellent ability to think ahead and perform above the call of duty, it is my honor to present you with the promotion of Chunin," Tsunade said as she handed Shikamaru his vest. A grumble was said as he looked to his left to see Naruto there smiling. "You have to take it, Shikamaru," Naruto said as he pushed him forward. You said it yourself, you're going to be my advisor. No, you said that, you troublesome blonde, Shikamaru said as he grabbed his vest. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Naruto, Tsunade said as she handed him one as well. Showing extreme talent and planning in the arena was beyond a chunin. You've achieved the rank as well. Great, Naruto said as he held up the jacket. Now I need to get it dyed. To kill me, Orange? Shikamaru asked with a smirk. They both turned to leave when an Anbu appeared in the office. Hokage-sama. The Anbu said as he bowed. Sasuke has been reported missing. He was seen leaving the village on by his own will and was accompanied by 4 sound ninjas. Shikamaru. Naruto, Tsunade said as she rubbed her eyes. Assemble a squad to help you escort our lost sheep back out at any cost. I won't fail you, Bakken, Naruto yelled as he gave the nice guy pose. Troublesome, Shikamaru sighed as they exited quickly to assemble their team. I need a response team, Tsunade said as she walked out of the hospital with Shizune following close behind her. She sent Shikamaru and Naruto's team almost 3 hours ago and something was telling her that they would need backup. She heard a cough from behind her and turned to see Rock Lee standing there. He had his shirt off and was slowly wrapping his arms with his tape. Shizune had removed his shirt to perform his checkup and he left in a rush. Lee, what are you doing out of your room? Shizune questioned as she scolded the Jinan. You are to be in bed for at least another week. In all honesty, Shizuneken, Lee said with a smirk and fire in his eyes. I've been in bed for far too long and it's about time that I stretch my legs. Lee, you. Shizune started but was cut off by Tsunade. Rock Lee, Tsuan snapped. She paused for a moment, building the suspense as she stared at the boy. He had a pleading look in his eyes and she gave a quick smile. You will pick up the first Inuzaka available and head out. You may also add any available ninja that can keep up with you. Your mission is to make sure our team comes back alive at all cost. Thanks, Hokage-sama, Lee said as he bowed. Konoha's handsome green beast shall not fail you. I ask only one thing in return though. Name it, Tsunade said with a smirk. Please tell Sakura that I might not return on time for our date, Lee said with a smirk. She can get kind of angry when I don't tell her I'm doing things. I will tell her, Leeson, Shizune said as she ruffled his hair. Now go, there's no time to lose. Kind of remind me of someone, Tsunade said with a smirk as a blushing Shizune stared at the boy's retreating form. He's Guy-kun, but like fun-sized, Shizune said with a blushing smirk. Where's your shy green beast of a man? Tsuan asked as they walked towards the Hokage office. Shizune blushed and hid her face behind Tonton, causing Tsuan to chuckle. Lee, where's the fire? Questioned a voice as Lee and Hana raced towards the exit of Konoha. Entering the village were the Sand siblings who were there to see the new Hokage. Lee turned to see Tamari waving him down. We are on a mission to protect a team that was sent out earlier, Lee answered. Naruto and Shikamaru are leading a team against an unknown enemy. We will assist, Gaara said quickly as he turned to follow. Tamari nodded and Kankuro groaned. Well, this sucks, Naruto said as he looked around the giant dome. Neji, Choji, Kiba, Shikamaru and Naruto were currently stuck inside the dome looking at one another. They thought that a sneak attack might work, but the fat one captured them. Naruto huffed as he looked around and his eyes glazed over. I could just teleport us all out of here, you know that? Why bother, Shikamaru said as he looked around. Just transport one of us out and we can take care of him. I got this guy, Choji said as he stepped forward. Naruto smirked and grabbed his shoulder. This should be a good snack, mumbled Jirobo as he kept his hands in the rock dome. He didn't expect to feel the crushing pain of a meat tank. Choji's attack struck home and crushed Jirobo into his own dome and then slowly pushed him through the dome, causing it to explode in a shower of rock and dirt. Nice one, Choji, Kiba yelled out as he jumped to the panting teen's side. Jirobo was slowly picking himself out of the dirt and turned an evil glare towards the boy. Let's take him out, Naruto yelled as he jumped to the other side of Choji. No, Shikamaru said as he turned towards the blonde. He will slow us down, we have to move or else the trail to Sasuke will get cold. I will stay, Choji said as he stepped forward. I can finish this off while you guys catch the traitor. You sure, Choji? Kiba asked as he gave him a look. Choji nodded and gave everyone the nice guy pose. Get going, Choji said as Jirobo started to charge them. They nodded and took off. Now let's dance. You don't stand a chance, Jirobo said as he closed the distance. Choji reached into his pocket and pulled out his fallback. The 3 colored pills. He popped the first one in his mouth and smirked at the boost of power. Choji charged forward and the 2 struck in the middle of the clearing, causing a large burst of energy to emit between them. Choji struggled at first but then slammed his foot down, releasing more energy. Newfound power. Choji tossed Jirobo over his shoulder and slammed him into the ground. Choji knew here and now that this battle would be his hardest of his life when he was suddenly struck with extreme pain from the pill course throughout his body. "You sure he can take him?" Kiba asked as they followed Akamaru. Shikamaru sighed as he chanced to glance behind him. "Choji is the strongest brute force-wise," Neji said softly, taking the words from Shikamaru. "He is fighting an opponent that is also based on brute force. It will be a grudge match between two bulls. Let's have faith that our bull will remain champion." "Neji's right," Shikamaru said as they kept pace, even though his face had a grim look. "We need to focus on our objective." "Sasuke," Naruto hissed out. "How can he just turn on us like this?" "Tell me about it," Kiba said. He sniffed the air. "The bastard was my teammate." "4 figures ahead," Neji said as he held up his hand. "They seem to be resting. Sasuke is laying in some sort of container that's pushing chakra through his eyes." "What do you mean?" Shikamaru asked with a whisper. "Exactly what I said," Neji said. "He seems to be absorbing mass amounts of a black chakra through his eyes. It's changing the chakra in his system from blue to a dark purple slowly." "Well, let's not wait and find out," Shikamaru said as he hinged himself into Jirobo. "Don't let them kill me, alright guys?" "Good luck," Kiba said as they took positions and Shikamaru jumped out towards the group. The three looked up at the approaching Jirobo. The only girl in the group stared down at him before launching a series of kunai at him. "What the hell?" Shikamaru yelled out. "We know you're not Jirobo," yelled the redhead as she pulled out another kunai. "Now show yourself." "Troublesome women," Shikamaru said as he released his henge. The girl smirked down at him with a predatory smile. "Mine," she claimed. "I get to keep." "Shut up, Tayuya," said the leader of the group. "You can kill him later. Where are your friends?" "I was the only one to escape," Shikamaru lied with no hint of emotion. "Now hand over Sasuke and you can leave with your life." "Oh, the balls on this bitch," Tayuya said with a grin as she slowly licked a kunai. "I really like him." "Keep your pants on, Tayuya," said the one with 4 arms, causing her to scoff. "Besides, he isn't even on my level." "He might not be, but no, I am," said a voice. The three turned to see the orange-clad blonde who smirked at them. Boom! The explosion launched the three of them apart. The barrel that held Sasuke fell next to the girl with red hair, causing her to sigh. "Tayuya!" screamed the leader as he dusted himself off. "Get the package to the border, we shall hold them off." Tayuya took off with the barrel at a breakneck speed, shocking everyone. Shikamaru looked at the situation as the enemy smirked down at them. They were above their level, and knowing that them slowing their group down would mean that the mission would be an automatic fail. Shikamaru ran through 200 different situations in his head, and everyone led to Sasuke escaping. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Kiba with a smirk. "We got this," he said as Neji nodded. "This should be fun." "Get the bastard back to Konoha," Neji said as he took off after the boy with 4 arms. Kiba smirked as he went after the last one. "I don't like this, Shikamaru," Naruto said as they raced forwards. "Leaving everyone behind like this isn't smart." "And you think this is any easier on me?" Shikamaru asked as they raced towards a clearing in the forest. In the middle of the field, a couple 100 meters away, was the tall figure standing next to the redhead. "If you want to live after such a failure, you will return with all 5 headbands of these Konoha," yelled the tall figure as he backhanded the girl to the ground. She was visibly shaking under his glare and nodded quickly. "Yes, Kamimaru-san," she whispered out, holding her check. She turned at the sound of approaching feet. She looked up in shock as the 2 nin stopped before the 2 of them. "I agree she's troublesome," said Shikamaru with a slight smirk. "But hitting a woman is just wrong." "Who are you?" asked Kimimaru as he stared down the man. "So that when I kill you, Lord Orochimaru knows what to scribe on your gravestone." "So dramatic," Naruto said as he stuffed his hands in his pockets. "Just hand over the box and everything will be alright." "Tayuya," snapped the man as he turned his attention to the girl who was staring at the 2 Konoha in a mixture of awe and fear. "Kill them." "Yes, Kamimaru-san," she said as she slowly stood and assumed a stance. Kamimaru picked up the box and slowly turned to take off. "Seems like such a lovely guy," Naruto said as he crossed his arms over his chest and stared past the girl in front of him. "Follow him, Naruto," Shikamaru said as he stared down the redhead. "I will take care of her." "Don't take me lightly," yelled the redhead as she took out a flute. "And if you think I will let you get by me, you have another." "Where'd he go?" "He's already in front of your buddy over there." Shikamaru pointed to the fighting teens, causing Tayuya's eyes to widen a bit. "He might look at this as another failure on your part." "Shut up," she snapped with a bit of fear in her eyes. "You don't know what will happen if I don't kill you all." "Let me guess," Shikamaru said as he dodged an attack from the women. He smirked as he retreated towards the safety of the trees with her following. "The snake Pito will kill you? If he was only so kind," she whispered back. Shikamaru tossed a series of kunai towards the girl which she dodged. "So why go back then?" Shikamaru asked as he hid behind a tree. Tayuya looked perplexed for a moment and then shook her head. "You dumbass," she said with almost a chuckle. "You can't just turn on Orochimaru. I bear the curse mark." "And?" Shikamaru asked as he walked out and leaned against the tree. She stared at him shaking with rage. "Anko-sensei has one as well. Stop trying to distract me with false hopes," she yelled out as she summoned 3 giant figures. One had a giant club and was dark in color. The lighter one had huge spikes on his arms while the last one was completely wrapped like a mummy except his head and legs. Tayuya took her flute and pressed it to her mouth. "These are my doki. I hope you're ready to play." "I'm not trying to distract you," Shikamaru said as the one with the club charged forward. Shikamaru jumped back just in time, as the giant club smashed the tree to splinters moments later. Shikamaru looked at the sheer power of the creature and shook his head. Troublesome. Tayuya continued to play her flute, causing each creature to attack Shikamaru at different times. He was dodging as best he could, all the while putting a plan in his head. He took out a series of kunai and attached his exploding notes to each one. He tossed a series of kunai striking pivotal points and smirked as he stood up straight. The 3 doki summons were charging towards him and he gave a slight grin. He detonated the tags, causing a giant flash of light and fire. He flipped through his hand signs and smirked. "Success," he said with a smirk as he looked at the damage done. He destroyed most of the trees, leaving just his and the one Tayuya was standing on. The 3 doki were staring at their former master with their hands on their knees. Tayuya tried to play a note for them to attack but nothing happened. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Listen," Shikamaru said as he stood straight and the doki mirrored his actions. "I want to help you. Now you can come quietly or I can force you to come. Konoha will just kill me after they torture me for hours," she yelled back with a tear slowly falling from her eye. Shikamaru just sighed. "So you will have to drag me back if you think I'm going anywhere near that place." "Fine then," Shikamaru said as he jumped forward raising his right hand. The doki with the club raised his hand as well and was about to strike down Tayuya, when she dismissed her doki. Shikamaru counting smirked as he landed a foot away. Tayuya tried to strike him but he caught her fist and swept her legs out from under her. She landed roughly on her back, causing her scream out in pain. Shikamaru's shadow connected with hers and she froze. He smirked as he sat down across from her and let out a content sigh. He pulled out a piece of paper and placed it on her forehead, causing her to feel a draining sensation. Suppression seal used in the transportation of prisoners. Shikamaru always had a few on him in case of these situations. "What did you do to me?" she yelled as she felt all her chakra slowly disappear. She was becoming increasingly tired. "I'm taking you back to Konoha," he said as he stared down at the girl's eyes. She was beyond angry at being beaten by this lazy ass, but her eyes were giving off an emotion she thought she never would feel again. "Fear. Promise me they won't kill me," she whispered out slowly as tears fell from her eyes. "I will say you came willingly," he said as he picked her up in his arms bridal style. She turned her head into his chest and sighed. She never shown any sort of weakness before, and now, here in this boy's arms, she felt completely helpless. Yet she couldn't fight the feeling of being safe. She looked up at the boy and smirked. "Shikamaru," yelled a voice from behind. Tayuya raised an eyebrow at this and looked over his shoulder. There standing was Tamari of the Sand, and she seemed pissed. Tayuya looked from Tamari to Shikamaru and smirked. "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm taking this prisoner in for questioning," Shikamaru said as he turned to face the blonde who stared at Tayuya, leaking killer intent. "Why are you here?" "Why am I?" she started but stopped and calmed herself down. "I'm here to rescue you." "Well," Shikamaru said as he picked his words carefully. "I thank you for the help. I have to get her back to an outpost quickly. Naruto might need my help." "Lee and Gaara are helping him," Tamari said as Shikamaru sighed in relief. "We have orders to return all survivors to Konoha. Is everyone okay?" Shikamaru asked as adjusted Tayuya in his arms, to her pleasure but Tamari's disgust. Tamari watched Tayuya grin at her as she slowly slipped her arms around Shikamaru's neck and snuggled in closer to his chest. Shikamaru, for the first time in his life oblivious to what was happening around him, waited for the answer as Tamari sat there fuming. "Tamari. What?" she yelled back. "Oh no, Choji was found in critical condition and was rushed to the hospital. Neji was also in a life-threatening position and was found in time for us to resupply him with some blood pills. Kiba has a few bumps and should be fine after some minor healing." "Shit, Shikamaru said as he lowered his head a bit. Let's get back. I hope Naruto will be fine with Lee and Gaara's help. Shikakun, Tayuya said softly as she passed out in his arms. The seal absorbed the last of her chakra, putting her into a coma-like stasis. Shikamaru turned his head with a raised eyebrow, towards Temari, who was mumbling about killing something. And you don't have to hold her like that, she yelled out of nowhere as they raced through the forest. Shikamaru just sighed as he mumbled his trusted catchphrase. You are quick, I will give you that, Kamimaru said as he dodged another punch from Naruto. Naruto just smirked back as he exploded, launching Kamimaru aside, causing the box he was carrying slide a feet away. Kamimaru looked down at the blonde with a confused look. Just give me Sasuke and you can go about your way, Naruto said as he took out his book and flipped a page. Kamimaru tilted his head and gave him a questioning look. What are you doing? He asked. Naruto gave him a funny look and giggled. It's called reading, Naruto answered back. Oh Naomi, you're so bad. Are you taking this seriously? Kamimaru yelled. Naruto's answer was yet another perverted giggle. Fine, I will finish you quickly. Kamimaru charged forward, a bone sword appearing in his hand, surprising the blonde. The speed was beyond his reaction time as the bone sword slid quickly through Naruto's chest. Kamimaru chomped back in time, as Naruto exploded again. Naruto tried to attack him from behind, but Kamimaru dodged the attack and kicked Naruto squarely in the chest. Naruto flew back and skidded to a halt in front of two green shoes. Seems like one could use some backup, said the owner of the feet. Naruto looked up to see Lee standing there with a smirk. Lee held out a hand and Naruto took it and was pulled to his feet. Lee, you're cleared from the hospital? Naruto asked as he brushed off the dirt from his vest. Lee gave him a slight shrug and started to stretch. Naruto sighed, knowing that he wasn't cleared yet. Better hope Sakura doesn't find out, or you'll be put back in for good. She worries too much, Lee said with a smirk. Now what do we have here? Bone bitch? Naruto asked, as Kamimaru flinched at the insult. He's fast, that's for sure, great at hand-to-hand and can create swords from his bones. Looks like a bloodline. Weakness unknown so far. Sounds like a good warm-up, Lee said as he assumed his stance next to Naruto. Naruto fell into his stance as well. At that moment there was a slow hiss and the box slowly opened. Steam was erupting from the box and Sasuke slowly stood chuckling madly. I see Crazy is awake, Naruto said as he looked at Sasuke. His skin was paler than usual and he almost seemed to be glowing in a dark purple. His eyes were already activated, but instead of the famous red they were a deep purple and had 3 tomes in each eye. Enough playing around, Sasuke. Let's head back to Konoha. You fool, Sasuke yelled as he stepped out of the box laughing loudly. Lee and Naruto shared a look before they went to grab Sasuke. Sasuke jumped back and Kamimaru appeared, kicking both of them away. Sasuke-san, Kamimaru said as he assumed his stance between Sasuke and Naruto. Head towards the border, we have someone waiting to meet you there. Sasuke, don't, Naruto yelled as he picked himself back up. Idiot, Sasuke said as he turned. Just try and stop me. Fine, Naruto said as his eyes glazed over. Sasuke took off towards the border. Lee, I need a favor. Say no more, Naruto, Lee said as he charged the bone-wielding man. Naruto sighed as he narrowed his eyes on the retreating figure and disappeared. Kamimaru turned to stop Naruto, but Lee appeared in front of him with a serious look in his eyes. Please, Lee said as he assumed his stance. Don't ignore me. Your fight is with me. Confident are we? Kamimaru asked as he pulled out a bone blade. Lee smirked as he charged forward. Kamimaru just dodged his direct attacks for a few moments before he felt a sharp pain from behind him. Lee somehow found a way through his defense and landed a blow. Normal blows have little to no effect on him due to his bone density and pain threshold. But that blow gave Kamimaru a feeling he hasn't felt in some time. Pain. Lee smirked as he charged forward again. You're fast, Kamimaru said as he picked himself up and assumed his stance. But too direct. Lee and Kamimaru flew into a blur of punches and slashes, each blocking and trading blow for blow. Kamimaru, seeing that this fight was a stalemate, activated his cursed seal to stage 1. Kamimaru grinned as he noticed that he now had the advantage as he quickly slashed across Lee's chest, cutting him. Lee jumped back and stood to his full height and smirked at Kamimaru. This is a truly youthful match, Lee said as blood slowly poured down his bare chest. But it seems that it's time to take my medicine. Please hold on for 1 second. Lee reached into his hip pouch and pulled out the bottle that guy gave him. He said to only use it on life and death occasions. Lee smirked as he slowly pulled the cork off the bottle and proceeded to drink the entire bottle. Lee coughed a bit and tossed the bottle aside and took up his stance. Kamimaru looked at his opponent as his face reddened and he swayed from side to side. "Are you drunk?" Kamimaru asked as he looked at Lee. Lee spun on his heel and fell back to the floor. Kamimaru approached the sleeping teen and raised his sword. "Truly sad, you were a worthy opponent." "Yes, fell forsets," Lee slurred as he bounced to his feet and struck Kamimaru in the chest with a bone-shattering fist. Kamimaru's eyes widened as he was launched off his feet and flew straight back. Lee appeared behind him and delivered a swift kick which launched him straight into the air. Lee looked around in circles. "Hey! Where'd Yasuko?" Kamimaru landed a few feet away with a groan. Kamimaru's eyes narrowed as he looked at Lee, shocked at the sudden change. He slowly pulled himself out of the small crater and turned to Lee who was charging at him. Kamimaru was launched into a volley of strikes that were coming at different angles which was completely different from the other stance he was fighting. This stance was beyond difficult to keep up with. A swift kick picked him off his feet again and he was launched into forward from another strike to the chest. Kamimaru didn't expect to be caught by a wall of sand that suddenly appeared. "Sand coffin," said a clam voice that appeared. Kamimaru was completely engulfed with sand. The pressure was beyond belief. Kamimaru's eyes widened as he felt the sand slowly wear away his defense and soon he blacked out from the pain. Gaara finished the job and sprayed his bloody sand over the area in a mist of red. "Hey Panda Man," Lee said with a drunken smirk. Gaara sighed as he looked away from his sand to see Lee waving at him. "Sasuke," Naruto yelled as they stared each other down in the Valley of the End. "You have twice now defied a direct order from a superior ninja, and have betrayed Konoha. Your punishment is awaiting you back home." "You superior to me?" laughed Sasuke as his eyes slowly spun. "I'm better in every way. What did they do to you?" Naruto asked as Sasuke and him slowly circled one another. "They gave me power," Sasuke said with a smirk. "A curse seal?" asked Naruto. "No, that will be my payment once I reach Orochimaru," Sasuke said with an evil smirk. "Then I will be unstoppable. This is a prototype. They inject a mix of chakra they've gathered, directly into my system giving me a boost of chakra and power preeminently." "That isn't how you should get stronger," Naruto yelled back. "You need to train your body so that you can handle the power load. As of now you won't be able to even use it to its full potential because your body is still too weak." "Shut up you bastard!" Sasuke seethed. "You don't know anything." "Fine then," Naruto said as he was playing right into his trap. "Prove me wrong." Sasuke charged forward only for Naruto to explode in a flash of light. The flashbang clone did the job as Sasuke's eyes were shut and his ears were bleeding slightly. Naruto appeared above him with a smirk as he dropped 3 clones towards him. They each exploded and launched Sasuke over the cliff and into the river below. Naruto followed him and landed on the river as he watched Sasuke slowly pull himself up. Naruto was panting a bit from the excessive use of clones, but he wouldn't show it. "You think you're so strong," Sasuke said as blood slowly fell from his forehead. "I will kill you." "So emo," Naruto said back as he pulled out his book. Sasuke's eyes flashed in anger as watched the blonde slowly flip a page. After a minute to catch his breath and a perverted giggle, Naruto looked back up at Sasuke who was glaring at the blonde. "Now I say we do this the easy way and bring your crying ass back home. How does that sound?" "Over my dead body," Sasuke said as he pulled out a kuni. Naruto snapped his book shut and gave him a foxy grin. "Oh, I was hoping you would say that," Naruto said as the water under Sasuke started to bubble. Then an explosion of fire erupted. Sasuke was launched high into the air from the massive attack. Naruto bamfed towards him, but Sasuke was already launching a fireball towards the blonde. Naruto's eyes spun to life and the fire hit the silver portal and just as quickly appeared behind Sasuke. Sasuke was hit square in his back by his own attack, launching him into the waiting arms of Naruto who wrapped his arms around him tightly, causing Sasuke to wince. "Just so you remember, Sasuke," Naruto's voice said from behind him. "Bitch, I'm the bomb, like Tick Tick." The clone exploded, sending Sasuke's broken body towards the water at breakneck speed. Before the smoldering body hit the water, a figure broke out of the woods and caught it. He quickly doused Sasuke in the river before turning to Naruto. Kabuto sighed as he stared at the blonde who was assuming his stance. "Know this," Kabuto said slowly as he was sinking into the ground. "We have something very special for you, Naruto-kun. Say hello to Orochimaru's newest experiment. Please come out now, Thane." Naruto turned his attention to the figure that was standing across from him in the river. Naruto was a bit baffled at first, because he didn't even sense the man. Naruto stared at the man who stood before him. His bald head was pale and littered with several surgical scars. His eyes were 2 different colors, one was brown and the other was completely black. He was tall, around 6'4" with slim body. He was wearing a white lab coat over a skin-tight black t-shirt and matching pants. His lab coat had the sleeves ripped off, exposing his ripped arms that were also littered with several scars. His eagerly twitching hands had elongated fingernails which looked razor-sharp. The figure stared down at Naruto and flashed a quick grin. His teeth looked to be sharpened into points. "I've been waiting to feast upon your flesh, Uzumaki," Thane said with a smirk. His voice was low and hiss-like. He took a step forward, slowly leaking killer intent. Naruto gulped. For the first time in a long time, he felt scared. "What is it with everyone wanting to eat me?" Naruto asked, gaining a bit of his confidence. Thane continued his steps towards the blonde. Naruto's eyes glazed over and he noticed Thane's black eyes swirl to life as well. It looked like a pool of oil as it moved with no sense of direction. "I assure you," Thane said with a hissing voice, "that I will follow through with my promise." Naruto bamfed behind him only to be surprised that Thane's smiling face was inches away from his own. Naruto jumped back as a claw ripped through his vest, tearing it to pieces. Naruto's only thought was, fast. Naruto jumped back again as Thane pressed his advantage. Naruto bamfed away and looked down at his chest. He had 4 cuts running across his chest and his new vest was already ruined. Naruto looked up at the man as he slowly turned with a sadistic grin. He slowly licked his fingers, savoring his first taste. Naruto gulped and pulled off the vest and tossed it aside. "You taste," Thane started as he finished licking his finger. His eyes widened as he stared at the blonde. "Amazing. So sweet and innocent. I must have more. More." "You want more?" Naruto yelled out as he felt the fox come to life inside of him. "Brat," the fox said as his chakra slowly leaked through his cage. Naruto had a grin on his face as his whisker marks darkened. "This monster is an abomination of this world and an insult to us demons. Wipe his existence from this world." "With pleasure," Naruto said back, the Demon King who wore a matching grin. Power surged through his body and he was encased in a red cloak. Thane was shaking with excitement as he watched Naruto's power rise. Naruto's face darkened and he slowly locked eyes with Thane. "Now come and get some, bitch." That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.